Mayan genocide, also referred as the Silent Holocaust, has its roots well before the Guatemalan Civil War. In 1954, President Jacobo Arbenz placed new land reforms that were a great success for the poor, impoverished Guatemalans. However, this angered the United Fruit Company and called the CIA to help stage a coup during the early 1950s. During the early 1950s, the Cold War was heavily expanding and communism feared teared through America. The United States were happy to back a coup against President Arbenz, believing it would get rid of a communist nation close to home. In June 1954, the CIA was successful and placed military leader Carlos Castillo Armas in power. In 1960, angry leftist guerrilla fighters attacked the Guatemalan army and set the stage for a 36-year civil war. Most of these guerrilla fighters lived in northern and western Guatemala, right in the heart of the Mayan population. The indigenous people of Guatemala were treated like second-class citizens well before the Civil War. Their civilization, culture, and people have been living at the hands of oppressors since the Spanish conquistadors invaded their land in the 16th century. Now, life will get much worse. In the beginning of the war, few Mayan people supported the leftist guerrilla soldiers. They hoped that the guerrilla fighters would bring a new world, from economic and social justice. The Guatemalan army became fixated on these few Mayans and suspected that all Mayans were helping their enemy. Soon, the Guatemalan army began targeting. The Guatemalan Civil War grew deadlier each passing year. With the election of General Fernando Romero Lucas Garcia in 1978, the war would turn into a mass Mayan genocide. In 1978, 100 Mayans were executed. By 1981, over 10,000 lay dead at the hands of the Guatemalan army and its local civil patrols. The Guatemalan army became frustrated that they could not capture and kill the leftist guerrilla fighters. Thus, they focused on targeting unarmed Mayan civilians to purge their anger and frustration. The Guatemalan army believed killing the Mayan population would tear down and defeat the guerrilla fighters. This was far from the truth. General Efren Rios Montt replaced Lucas Garcia as the military dictator of Guatemala in 1982. His 2-year reign was the bloodiest moment in the Guatemala Civil War in the lives of the Mayan people. Mayan hysteria grew feverishly as the war progressed. The U.S. continued to support the military dictators that rose and fell in Guatemala, supporting the dictators in the name of freedom from communism. In Operation Scorched Earth, the Guatemalan army burned and ransacked 629 villages. All Mayan inhabitants were raped, tortured, and murdered. The army wanted to squeeze the life out of the indigenous people of their country, hoping to get rid of them and making it impossible for them to rise out of the ashes. The Guatemalan Civil War lasted 36 years. Life for the Mayan population has improved since 1996. However, so many Mayans are still plagued by social injustice and inequality. The Mayan population are still fearful of the government and the corruption that is steadily growing worse. Life is still hard for the indigenous people of Guatemala. Many are fighting for their freedom, hoping to break the chains their oppressive rulers have put on them.